This is the Viking, the Emil 1951, a Tier 8 Swedish heavy tank that is in the stores today for the price tag of 12,500 gold. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about this tank, the strengths and the weaknesses, and if it is worth that 12,500 gold Wargaming is asking. Now, already, 12,500 is way cheaper than I expected this vehicle to ever be when it came out, because, well, as we know before, Wargaming likes to charge a very pretty penny for vehicles that are just out of crates, and as this vehicle last time was sold in crates, it is very nice that it is quite cheap. But my guess is that's because they did not sell a lot of these. That's going to be the same for a lot of vehicles that Wargaming has not been selling a crazy amount in crates. Now, the Emil 1951 is a very strong vehicle, but it does have its fair share of weaknesses, and the first thing is the armor, which we'll be breaking into right about now on Armor Inspector. This is the Emil 1951 and the Emil 1. We are currently looking at the Emil 1, the Tier 8 Tech Tree counterpart, which you can get for absolutely free. The turret armor on this vehicle is very thick. It's 236 on flat ground, and if you're using fully hull down, it is impressively thick at 281 millimeters. That means that pretty much against any Tier 8 mediums, apart from like a 34-3, because that thing is crazy, you're able to get bounces everywhere on the turret, which is incredibly impressive. It's very strong. Even against some Tier 9 mediums and heavy tanks, you're able to shrug off their armor. But, of course, vehicles like the M103 and Tier 9s that have very good heat penetration will easily be cutting through this turret. Another example of this would be the Emil 1951, which has fantastic APCR, 284 millimeters to be exact, so that can cut through the cheeks on this vehicle. But even then, this turret is super thick against APCR, sitting at 300 millimeters thick, and heat, it's like probably 310, 320, so yeah, very strong armor from the Emil 1. However, when we compare the Emil 1951 to the Emil 1, this is where armor becomes quite weak. Now, sure, it looks very strong hull down, but we were just looking at the Emil 1's armor, fully hull down. It was about 300 millimeters thick to APCR. This vehicle, it's 261. This turret is 40 millimeters less effective when it's hull down. That is a lot. 261 means that, you know, a vehicle like the Progetto with its 200 and about 60 millimeters of premium pen, the Mod 46 here, would not be able to penetrate the Emil 1's turret. It can easily penetrate right through this thing's turret. So that is where the disadvantage of the Emil 1951 comes into play, is the not-so-great armor. Its armor is very weak on the hull, and it's very weak on the turret. And because of that, you know, vehicles like VK100s and vehicles that normally would not ever be able to penetrate your Emil 1's turret hull down are able to penetrate this with premium rounds. Now, sure, you can still get some bounces, but it doesn't feel as good. And that's why I do say the Emil 1 is overall a better vehicle. The ability to hold hull down and just get more bounces gives you a stronger advantage to win. But that does not make the Emil 1951 a bad tank, and I'm going to be showing you that exactly in today's video. Now, first of all, what are the advantages of this vehicle over the Emil 1, you may be asking? Well, first of all, it's faster. It goes 40 kilometers per hour, and it's got a way better power-to-weight ratio. The average speed of the Emil, even though it goes 35, I'd have to say is about 30, which is not great. This vehicle, it actually gets right up to 40, and it stays there. As well, the Emil 1951 has a way better gun on penetration values. It's 241 on the standard and 284 on the premium. That means that this gun's got about 40 millimeters more of the premium pen and about 20 millimeters more on the standard. That is way better. So yeah, this vehicle's more mobile and it's got more penetration. And honestly, I enjoy playing the Emil 1951 more than I do the Emil 1. Now, before I even get into today's video, if you just want to know if it's worth it to spend your money on this tank, no, I wouldn't say it is, because you can get your hands on the Emil 1 for free. I think it's a better tank, but I do think this vehicle is more enjoyable. So if you're somebody that likes your autoloaders and you like the Emil 1 and you want more of a faster vehicle, this is definitely a tank for your style, and I would suggest to pick it up. But for anybody out there just wondering if they should buy it for winning, no, not really. Just get the Emil 1. But as you can see here, yesterday, the last time I played was when I played my Hori Type 2. And apart from that, I've played one game today, and that was in my Emil 1951. And that is the one game we're going to be showing you guys in today's video, because I think it's a perfect game to illustrate all the strengths and weaknesses, how to play this vehicle in a very tricky situation, and everything else like that. which is always very, very good. So this tank, as I said, it has that good mobility. And the nice thing about it is that, sure, a lot of people can argue the Emil one's got speed boost, but it really doesn't work too well. This tank's able to go 40 non-stop, which is great. You can see here, even going uphill, I'm able to stay at 35. The Emil one, sure, I would be using my speed boost, but it's already been 15 seconds of the battle, so I would have been over it. I would have been in about the same position here. And now I would have been way, way further behind. So, yeah, the Emil 1 sure does have that speed boost, but it doesn't really help it nearly as much as you can see here. This fantastic mobility getting it up to 40 really helps out the Emil 1951. Now, this gun is slightly more accurate than the Emil 1s, but that doesn't mean it's accurate. And you're going to see that right now. This gun struggles on the aiming time. It struggles on the on-movement dispersion, and it struggles on base dispersion. It's 0.344, the same dispersion as an IS-4, which we all know is not the most accurate of vehicles. And the IS-4 actually has a decently accurate gun, but that's because its its dispersion isn't bad on the move. This vehicle's dispersion on the move, you can see it's literally a watermelon. So there you go, 1 out of my 3 shells penned, crippling my DPM for that clip. But you know what? We got a bounce and we got a pen, so I'll take it. This is a very good position for a vehicle like the Emil because, of course, I'm sitting hull down. And New Bay Bridge is always something you want to work. Even though my team was not wanting to go to the bridge, I was still forcing myself to somehow work the bridge. So you can see here in this battle that I did manage to get myself on the New Bay Bridge either way. That shot was a little bit my fault there. I should have let it a little bit further, but I kind of got surprised how bad the shell velocity was there for a second. But overall, we're sitting at 945 damage so far. Not too bad. And I'm thinking right now, well, you can see if I pause the game, my T-55A is about to die. My AT-15 is obviously not quick enough to get out of there. So these two players are going to die. My Tier 9, what is this? A WT-120 is already dead. That's not good. We're just going to be down a massive amount of tanks here. 4 to 7 already, it's looking like, on the battlefield here. I'm not liking that, so I'm thinking I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to bleed any hit points, but I noticed the stairwell, and I also know that VK100 is coming for me, so I'm going to use these stairs here to hide my weak butt. And I'm thinking then, well, if I hide my weak butt here, there's no way they're going to pen me. So here's the 75TS, and a perfect example. He bounces a premium shell right off of... I actually don't know, because that premium shell would have penned my turret. Maybe he ricocheted off my side, but either way, we got a bouncer, and we're now sitting at 1,500 damage. And again, reloading that clip as quickly as possible, I'm now making my way up to the Centurion 7-1. Now, if that vehicle was going to sit up there, and it was going to try and pen me when I was hull down, the good thing about the Centurion is that it doesn't have premium if it's running the Hesh gun. It only has Hesh, which is great for me. But at this moment, I'm playing this thing like an autoloader. I'm thinking, okay, I can pen 3 shells into this guy and trade 1 shell back. So 900 for 350, that's a pretty sweet trade. And with that one clip there, I went from sitting at 1,500 damage to 2,500. And I've brought what was a fairly healthy Centurion down to a cripple. That is where being an autoloader is very nice, and having that mobility is much nicer. It would have taken me definitely a little bit longer to get into position, and I probably would not have even been able to clip that Centurion with how much longer it takes me to get into position with the Emil 1. Now here we are clipping the standard B here with the Emil. I was thinking that maybe I should save that last shell for the Centurion if it was going to come for me, but honestly, it looks like that guy doesn't even care. So with that clip, we are now sitting at 3,451 damage. It's very, very easy to get out damage in a vehicle like this because just those clips are so massive. Like, we brought a full health standard B again down to a cripple. Now, my team not doing great right now. It's currently at 3 to 5, which is not good. And yeah, that there, not good either. Just lost 410 hit points to not penetrate that Centurion. I really needed that to pen. And with that, I'm starting to think, oh boy, this is not looking good. We got a pretty healthy E75TS. We got the Centurion. We still got an Action 10 against me. There's a lot of vehicles. And oh boy, here we go, aiming, and boom, perfect shell. But if you look at that Centurion went right through my turret both times when he tapped me. And that's a perfect example. That Centurion fired standard ammo and went through my turret. That's not good for this vehicle's armor. Again, why this tank struggles with the armor, that is a perfect example. Now, if you'll notice there, that was actually a 1 versus 4 for a couple seconds. And Yeah, now it's a 1 versus 3. Now, granted, 2 of them are one-shots, but one of them is an entire clip's worth, which is not good. That's the E75TS there, but I'm going to focus this E75TS because I know that I need to pen my shells in him. So there's 1, there's 2 pens, and I shift my focus from the E75, even though I could have killed him, to the Action 10. And the reason for that being is because I know the Action 10 has a ridiculously high amount of DPM, and I don't want to fight a tank that's able to shred me to pieces, where sure, the E75TS does have high DPM, it's not as high, the mobility is not as good, so I can evade a vehicle like the E75, where I cannot evade a vehicle like the Action 10. Now we've got the Object 704 over here, and I'm going to try and bait a shell from him, and there you go. Perfect bait from the Object 704. And what that means is obviously I'm going to focus him, finish him off, as he can make me a one-shot, and all that's left is the E75. And again, even though we killed him, obviously that kill wasn't super skilled, you can see again, he went right through my turret, completely hauled down at an angle like this. The Emil 1, that would have never happened. So, this is a perfect example to show where the turret of this vehicle is way worse than the Emil 1. Those 3 shells that penned me guaranteed would not have penned with the Emil 1, which would have made the scenario a lot better for me in a vehicle like that. I would have been about 900 hit points higher. So, in certain aspects, the Emil 1 would have done just as good in that map, but still 5,002 damage. We pulled out a mastery, and as well a Kolovanov's for winning the battle. That is how the Emil 1951 rolls, and it's a pretty sweet vehicle. I like the mobility. The mobility gives you a lot of advantages over the Emil 1. The penetration gives you a lot of advantages, and I can definitely tell you that the pen did help me in certain aspects there against vehicles like the E75TS and other stuff like that. So yeah, and so did the mobility, obviously, helping me get in the position, reverse very quickly. This thing's got a just crazy reverse speed of 20. So, yeah, I think it's a very strong tank. Do I think it's worth the price? As I said, no. Get your hands on the Emil 1. But if you did buy this vehicle, it is definitely a pretty strong tank. Hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.